Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Ben. Ben is from Switzerland. So let's see what Ben has to say. Enjoy the interview.
How are you?
Hello. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Of course. You're in London?
Yes, I'm based in London. Yes, yes.
So I lived there until last May.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was there from September of 2021 until last May. And
Amazing.
I moved here. My partner is Swiss. So I come back to London pretty frequently. I was supposed to be there right now to get 90 days out of the Schengen zone. But I got my preliminary residency, and now I can't leave Switzerland until after the 26th of January. Not my
Wow.
residency, and hopefully my work permit and a job.
Amazing. My goodness. I can see that you've been traveling around.
In 2017, I visited, I went to right after Christmas in 2016 to Rio,
Okay.
and I spent New Year's there. And then I almost until the end of January, like 24th of January, I was in Brazil. And I went from Rio to Paraty, from Paraty to Sao Paulo, from Sao Paulo to Florianopolis. Then I went
Wow.
to Brasilia and Salvador, and back to Rio. And I went
Amazing.
to the nude beach near Rio and one in Florianopolis. And I went swimming in a waterfall naked near Brasilia.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, Brazil. Actually, I'm going to Brazil in February to see my family. It's a big country. As you could
Yeah.
see, you could kind of see the different parts of Brazil. I'm sure you could realize the difference between states and people,
Yeah.
and each state you go, you feel like in a different, totally different country.
Yeah, no, it's a huge country and it's very diverse. And yeah, I've met quite a few Brazilians, and to me it was paradise. But they all say there are reasons we left. So,
Okay, Ben. So tell me where you're from.
so I am originally from Louisiana in the South of the United States, where I grew up. When I was 18, I did leave. I lived in the UK for a year when I was 18. Then I went back to America and went to university. So I've never lived there since I was 18. But my family is still there. And like this summer, I was in New Orleans for our cousin's wedding.
So when you were 18, you left Louisiana and you lived in the UK for all this time.
No, I lived in the UK for a year. I went to an English boarding school for a year, all
Oh,
boys in Dorset for a gap year. Then I went to university in Virginia, a small in America, what's called a liberal arts college, and I did my 4 year BA in Greek and Latin.
okay.
Then I was a Latin teacher in America. Do you want me to go ahead and fill you in where all I've been up to now?
Please, you can kind of go briefly.
Okay, so then I was in the Peace Corps in Togo in West Africa, and then I came back from that, and then I went to seminary to actually become a priest, an Orthodox priest, not Catholic. And I completed that. Then I went and lived in Belgium for a year. Then I came out as gay, and then I went and did my PhD in history at the University of California, Los Angeles,
Wow.
and that took 6 years. Then I taught at UCLA for 1 year. Then I got a teaching position that was only a contract for Clark Honors College in Oregon. Then I got a permanent position in New York State, uh, not New York City. It's in the countryside where it's very cold. And it was a tenure track position where I could have stayed permanently, but I was very unhappy. There were some people in the department also who really did not like me. So I decided I did not want to stay and did not apply for tenure after 6 years. I just decided to withdraw and leave. And then I was living in Virginia again, and that's when I changed my career to become a horticulturist, and I was a gardener. And
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to move to London in 2020, September, to begin the Master in the History of Landscapes and Gardens at the University of London. I
Wow.
was delayed for a year for the pandemic. And that in October of 2020, I decided to move, go out to California for a year. I worked on some friends' horse ranch. Then I lived from January to September in a nudist colony where I worked and lived. And in September, I went to London again, and I worked as a gardener, did the master's in the history of landscape and art and gardens. And then I worked at a garden center until last May when I moved to Switzerland, where my fiance lives.
Wow, what a journey.
Right? It's kind of all around. At this stage of my life, I have been to 56 countries.
Wow.
I've lived in India, I've lived in the UK. I spent a summer in Tunisia, 7 weeks. I've lived in Belgium, and I've lived in India, and I lived in West Africa. And as much, I'm so grateful for those opportunities. It's been amazing, but more and more, I'm less interested in travel
Mhm.
because I want to get a dog now. I like gardening. If I stay in Switzerland, hey, we can just take a holiday in the south of France in the summer. I love the beach, so that would be enough.
Amazing. I had a few guests on the show who asked me in the end of the interview, William, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Switzerland always being the top list of.
Wow.
Yes, there's something about the country. I've been Zurich, I've been Geneva twice, and there is something about the country that I've always been fascinated. And you can tell for sure, living there. I think even the air is different. Or anywhere in the world that I've been.
It's very clean. It's very well run. So I mean, I can't say anything negative about it. I would prefer somewhere a bit hotter. Like
Mhm.
to me, a tropical climate like Brazil is perfect. I don't even mind being really hot in the summer. My fiance, when it gets up to like, over 30 degrees, he complains that it's too hot. I'm fine with that. So I don't mind the heat. And right now, today it snowed. I don't really like the cold, but it is such a beautiful place, and you're near the mountains. And here in Montreux, where we are, it actually has quite a mild climate. It's very similar to London. We have the palm trees like in London, you have in the garden. So in other words, it gets cold and there is a winter, but it's not really, really cold. Like where I lived in New York State, the first year I was there, for the entire month of January, it never got above 0 degrees. And there was a meter of snow on the ground, and it just stayed. So that I can never do again.
Ben, tell me, so right now at the moment you are a full-time gardener.
Well, I'm waiting for my work permit, and I will get a job here in Switzerland. I would like to get a job in historic garden conservation or at one of the botanic gardens, but given my background, I may just work in some aspect of the heritage sector or university admin.
I see. Okay, so through the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life, about your travels, and also about your point of views as well, okay?
Okay,
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
I am gladly.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best. Okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Hey, Ben from Switzerland. So before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, some reason you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, who was your first crush and why?
Would that be like celebrity or someone I actually knew?
The first crush you ever had?
The first man I remember being attracted to was probably Tom Selleck on Magnum PI, because even though I was quite young, just getting to see him shirtless, and I just thought he was so handsome would get me excited, and I wanted to watch the show just to see him. I didn't really follow the plot or anything.
Wow. And who was your first love?
And actually, also very close at the same time would have been John Schneider and the Dukes of Hazzard. Him too. I used to watch just to see him. My first love. That's much tougher because I think the first time I really fell in love, I was actually quite late, probably age 30. And that was my first serious boyfriend.
See. Okay. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, next question for you is, this one's gonna be very easy for you. Where are you planning to go for your next vacation?
I think in the summer I will go in Spain to the beach.
Somewhere specific?
Maybe to go visit friends, but it's kind of up in the air now. I might, because I have friends there, I might start in Madrid, then just go down to the beach, but it'll probably be to a nudist resort on the beach, and that will probably be my real just vacation. So, like in the summer, I'll probably go back to America, but that's also to visit friends and family, not necessarily holiday. So, just pure vacation holiday would be probably Spain, maybe France instead. I haven't decided yet, but it'll be a beach vacation.
As you've been traveling around the world, living different countries, different places, learn different culture. Did you ever thought one day you'd be living in Switzerland at this time or not?
No, no, it's not. It's not even that it was. I thought maybe Europe. I kind of always saw myself maybe in the Netherlands or back in Belgium or France or even Germany.
Uh-huh.
And it's not that I was against Switzerland. It's just it hadn't ever come. And I had been here, but it hadn't popped into my mind as a place I would live.
Amazing. Okay. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, before the next question, as you know, we are very open about your relationship with nudity, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me the journey, when the desire or when the relationship started.
As a kid, actually, I can remember my mother yelling at me to put my clothes on, and at a certain point, being told by my father I had to be dressing for my mother and sister, but I would still go naked outside because I grew up. My parents' house is in the middle of 64 acres. I'd have to look that up, but that is in hectares. But you could the driveway is a quarter of a mile long. You cannot see the house. The driveway is about a half a kilometer long. You cannot see the house, and that means like yeah, if my mother wasn't home, I would run around outside naked. I would sometimes dare my brother. I always slept naked, and I was quite young, probably maybe 7 or 8. So also in America, really up into the 1980s was kind of the heyday of nudism. America was much more open and liberal than it is now. You had Venice Beach in LA, like right there in the city, had a nudist section, like that was all closed down in the 80s. So there were actually a lot of nudist camps in the 70s and early 80s, and in our sort of evening before the news, there was this sort of culture program that was local called PM Magazine. It's an evening magazine, and it would feature a local restaurant, maybe some like historical bit or something cultural. Then also, but one time they featured a nudist camp, and I told my dad I wanted to go. So
Wow.
I knew then like there are people who like to be naked all the time in places you can do it. I want to go to that. So that yeah is where that started and began.
And what's the feeling when you are naked in those naked camps or places where people are completely naked? Tell me the feeling. What is it? Freedom? You feel free? You feel can
Yeah,
do?
it's mainly you feel free. You also, what's very funny is that so a lot of people think wasn't it sexual? So it definitely can be, but I always tell people, you can be sexual at work. You see someone hot you like or you don't. But the big thing is that you feel free and you stop caring because you might meet, I mean, I'm gay and I've never even been with a woman, but you might meet some older woman. She offers you a drink and and you just realize you just don't care. Like, and there isn't any, clothing. You're not thinking about that. You're just like everyone's so free and laid back. And I think especially in America, because nudists there, if you're a nudist in America, you kind of know you're all freaks, whether you're gay, straight, to everybody else, you're a freak. So there's kind of this camaraderie, and they're really, really friendly. What's interesting is that in France and Germany, it's so common. You go to a nudist camp and they're just booked up, and there are so many families. They don't feel like they're outsiders. They don't feel like a community.
Hmm?
So actually, also in Brazil, I found this to be the case. It's kind of like in Brazil and America, and even in the UK a little bit, nudists kind of feel like, well, we're a community, we're a group, we look out for each other. if you're one of us, we welcome you. And it's just, whereas in Germany and France, it's just kind of like, yeah, everybody goes naked. There's nothing special about it. So, in a weird way, where it's more accepted, I find the nudists to be amongst themselves to be less friendly.
And for you on your normal days, you are naked every day.
Yeah, unless
Like,
I'm cold or non-nudists are coming over, my partner will tell me to get dressed. But he sometimes is taking pictures of me gardening naked. And he actually sent it to his mother, but it's a picture of me raking leaves out the garden from behind. And then the other night I was building a fire naked and he was FaceTiming with his mother. And she doesn't live that far away. And he said, well, Ben is making a fire. And she said, well, she let me say hi to him, and he said, "Oh, he's naked." She said, "Show me anyway." He was like that, so it's kind of funny. He said, "This is really weird. I think my mother has a crush on you." But so,
that's funny. Amazing. Next question is, which book had a big influence on you?
so I would say it's two books simultaneously, perhaps three, and that would be this Absalom by William Faulkner, and the Bible, which is a bit of cliche, but I'll explain, and also the Apology of Socrates by Plato. So I think when I finally, I grew up in a very religious household, even though my father was kind of tolerant about nudity, he's also very homophobic. And quite honestly, I think he's a bit conflicted himself. But and I always heard the Bible, but when I hear or see on social media people always saying that, especially their gay friends, how awful Christianity is or how gay people are treated by so-called Christians, I want to remind them of the words of what Gandhi said, because he said, I would have become a Christian if I had ever met one. And that is, if you actually read, something like the Sermon on the Mount or the Gospel accounts, it's very hard to me to read any of that and still be racist or homophobic or bigoted in any way. And I think in this William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury, that's the second book that I read that had a huge impact on me, but Absalom is it's a story of the American South and the effect of racism and what it does, not just to Black people, but to white people as well, being racist and being oppressors. And I grew up in this environment that was racist, homophobic, all of those things. And reading those three texts at once, the Apology of Socrates about questioning your life, when he says the unexamined life is not living, it made me see the Bible in a new way and really say to my own upbringing and sort of background, how can you claim to be Christians when you're all of these things that you actually were commanded not to be? Jesus never commanded people, to be judgmental or to be holy. He commanded them to be merciful. That is the main thing you're required to be. Especially if you expect God to be merciful towards you, you have to be merciful towards others. So, and I was 17 about when this happened, sort of the end of my period in college. And I think it really prepared, not college, high school, it really prepared me for sort of leaving my background and going out into the world with a totally different view. And at the time, it inspired me also to become very religious, but to leave the Protestantism I was raised in. I think that's why I wanted to become a priest. But, at times I've questioned my life, what if I had? And then maybe it's I like dick too much, to be honest. So maybe it just wasn't a good fit for me.
You say about become a priest. Growing up, my mom thought that I would be a priest when I grew up because I was in the church all the time. I loved it. I was every Sunday. I was helping the priest. I was part of the mass as well, and I enjoyed it. It was such a great. I remember it was great energy. You know what I mean? I think being there and people. But funny enough, my parents were very open to me. Like they never forced me to go to the church. They were very free, and I just loved it. Looking back now, I don't think I could be a priest. I don't have the gift. I couldn't. But my connection with the church, like religion, actually wasn't even religion. I think was the whole thing being. I don't know. Was something about the energy there that I liked about the church. But it's, I'm not connected with the whole thing, that what say what they, but I liked it at the time.
Well,
It was great.
I know some gay Catholic and Orthodox priests that are more or less open to their friends. They're out, and we all kind of agree that it actually is a very gay profession. It's theater, it's performance, it's beautiful, it's art,
That's
and then you
why.
spend a lot of your time talking to little old ladies. And of course, they love gay men, even if they don't. Even the ones who are homophobic, they don't realize their priest is gay and this sweet man they like so much. It's kind of like, old ladies love gay men, whether they know it or not. So in a weird way, I think they don't realize why it's worked. That I think the current pope realizes this. He just sort of he kicked this homophobic U.S. cardinal out of the Vatican. So it's yeah. I don't go to church hardly ever now. I mean, I times think I would like to start going back, but that part is complicated. The church can still be a very homophobic institution.
Let's see. Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it then. Let's do it. Everyone calls you Ben. Nobody called you Benjamin.
People here will tend to call me Benjamin somewhat. Benjamin is I don't think Ben is really a nickname in French. So people usually say the name, not just like in my CrossFit gym. There's another Benjamin. No one calls him Ben. Growing up, I was called Benji as a nickname, which I actually hated. Now I kind of expect close friends and family to call me that. So I don't mind it now. I think it's kind of cute, but as a kid, I didn't like it.
Oh. So tell me, how is your experience of living in Montreux? Yeah, that's where we are based right now. Montreux. Tell something interesting about the place, about the city, your connection with.
So it's most famous for the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is a really big deal. Like this summer, Bob Dylan was here. He was apparently very controlling of his concert. Like he wanted
Bob Dylan. You said
Bob Dylan, yeah. It was he was here. So like, and if you know this song "Smoke on the Water" by Deep Purple, that is about them when they were scheduled to play at the Montreux Jazz Festival in the casino, and it caught on fire and burned down. So if you like the lines of the song, "Smoke on the Water" is about all the smoke on Lake Geneva. Actually, it's called Lake Le Mans by the French. And fire in the sky, and like Swiss time was running out. So that is what it's most famous for. I think the Montreux Jazz Festival started in the late, I think it was 71 or something. This was a 19th century resort town known as the Swiss Riviera. So you have all these beautiful old Belle Epoque hotels here. They never look full to me, and some of them have never really been updated. It's like stepping back in time in a beautiful and charming way. And now people, I don't think most people just want to go sit by a lake for a week. They can get a cheap flight to Spain or like a real beach. So I think the Montreux Jazz Festival and like the really big Christmas market they're having right now are a lot of things to try to get people to come here again.
See, okay. Next question for you is, what do you like the most in your best friends?
Sincerity. It's the only thing. I mean, you can be smart or stupid. You can be hot or not. If you're not sincere, it's all meaningless. You can be rich or poor, whatever.
And your best friends, they are based as well in Switzerland or different parts in the world?
I think mostly the United States and the UK.
See, when you think about the US, about your roots, what's the best memory that comes to your mind?
It's the space and growing up on a farm, but was also its curse because that was very lonely. Maybe, I mean, yeah, the United States is so big and has a lot of space, and it feels both at times. I mean, I've driven across the United States 3 times. People don't realize, probably like Brazil, how much of it is just empty.
Yes.
It's either wilderness or farms, and that's sort of, I think, in some ways, maybe that compares to probably Russia and Canada are even more empty. But That's very different from Europe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Oh, next question.
okay.
You like dancing, Ben?
Yes, I do.
Naked?
Yes, I dance naked. It's fun.
Next question for you is describe yourself in one positive word and one negative word only.
Okay. The one positive word I would say be sincere. I try to
Mhm.
be. Um, I think my most negative trait is my tendency, because it sums it all up, is to be morose. Not depressed, but sometimes negative and withdrawn and lacking ambition or trying. Not, and that even sometimes is applied to relationships or something. Um, it may be slightly defeatist, maybe some slightly pessimistic. I'm hopeful about people, but I'm pessimistic about the world. That makes sense. Actually, a priest I know once said that. He said, I hate humanity. He said, look at humanity. He said, genocide, all these horrible things humanity does. He said, but I love people. He said, because in every person is the potential to be something good and great. And that's kind of how I view, like, the future is pessimistic, but the people you can have relationships with and you can impact and know, I have a positive view of. I'm trying to be hopeful.
What's your star sign or astrology?
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay. Next question. Let's do it.
Okay.
You know what? I'm talking to you right now. I'm looking at you, and I feel like I'm talking to a very famous American actor that sadly he passed away not long ago. Um, do you know who I'm talking about? Anyone ever said something to you about that or not?
No, no, who is it?
William Hurt.
Oh, wow. I've been told since I was a teenager that I look like him. I don't know
Oh,
why.
oh my God!
Uh,
Literally,
but
I met.
especially when I was a teenager and I had longish hair. I mean, it wasn't like, but I had hair like him and I bleached it blonde, and everyone said you look just like William Hurt.
You literally like I'm talking to you right now. I literally feel like talking to him. I met him actually a few years in London. I was working in a hotel, and he was staying there for a while. He was shooting a movie in Wales or something, and he was so kind. And actually, when I met him, I didn't know who he was, and I just, and he approached me. He said, "Oh, you're from Brazil?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, I did. I had projects." And actually, when I think he did the movie, the Kiss of the Spider Woman, when he
Right,
got
it's
the
famous. It's
yes,
set in Brazil and he won the Academy
yes,
Award, and he played a very flamboyant, effeminate gay man.
yes. And
Even
I
great.
didn't, yeah, I didn't know anything about it. And when he said that, I said, "Oh, really?" And he started talking to me, and I was like, "Okay." And he said about that, but the way he said, I said, "Okay, let me check it out." So that's how I find out who he was.
Mhm.
And he came back again to the hotel a few times, and he was like very down to earth. So yes, I'm talking to you now. I feel like I'm talking to him. It's so interesting, amazing. Wow. Okay, next question for you is, do you know anyone who is living their life to the fullest?
Hmm. That's very hard to say. Probably the person I would say that I think does this the best of anyone I know is my aunt, who I'm closer to than anyone else in my family. She married her high school sweetheart. I think they started dating when he was 14 or 15. My
Wow.
uncle Marty, who was my favorite uncle, also they're my favorite aunt and uncle. And she is 12 years younger than my father, so she was actually a teenager when I was born. So she was always like the young, fun aunt. And he just started out as an engineer with ExxonMobil, but he rose up very high in the company to become an executive, and so was incredibly successful and became very rich also. And then he died of brain cancer 4 years ago. And she is still just the most positive person. She travels the world. She's upset my cousins because she has a Puerto Rican boyfriend who's 20 years younger than her. And her children, because their dad was a great father, and they saw their parents as very much in love and perfect. And they're like, I can't believe you'd do this to your father, to our father. And And she told me, she said, "You didn't know your father like I did. He would want me to be happy. And he even told me to find someone else." And I just
Amazing.
have seen people who lost their partner and choose not to live anymore. And she's chosen to live and be happy. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's terrible that he died, really before he even retired. He was thinking about retirement because he had made plenty of money but he liked his work. And I mean, granted, it was in oil and gas. That's problematic, but and he was such a happy person too. And I think that is amazing. And to have that view and outlook on life.
What's
That's
her name? What's her name again?
Pam.
And amazing. And she's back in Louisiana.
She lives in New Orleans, yeah, but she's actually coming. She visits me in Switzerland. She's coming for 10 days in November. Not sorry, January. She was here in the summer with her boyfriend, and yeah, I think she's pretty amazing. So it shouldn't take a tragedy to make you live your life to the fullest. And it also shouldn't take a lot of money. I mean, but what I appreciate about her is that she prioritizes relationships. She has so many friends. She has her grandchildren, family, and she just, she that's what she devotes her energy to.
So fascinating to see those people like your aunt, like just living life, isn't it? There are no rules. I think people, they need to be happy. They need the way they feel. It's good for them. It,
Right.
it's it's fascinating to see that. I totally agree. Right, I have 3 questions left.
Okay.
Let's do it. Can you hear the music? Not at all.
No, not at all. But I get to see you dancing, which is nice.
Should I get naked as well so we can dance together naked?
Yes, if you want, I highly recommend it.
Right, before the next question, I was checking your profile. It says you are a fencer as well? Fencer?
Yes, I
Yeah?
don't do that naked ever. I have no desire to either.
I never met anyone who plays fencer. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your journey as a fencer player. Fencer player, that's how I
So,
say it?
yeah, I don't know. You probably didn't notice unless I pointed out to you, but if you notice you can tell in my glasses that one eye is much has a much stronger prescription than the others. The lenses are not identical.
Oh, I
One's
can see
very
now. Now I
strong.
can.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can actually wear a monocle. This eye is almost perfect. So growing up, I had horrible hand-eye coordination. I could not catch or hit a moving ball to save my life. And so I really hated sports, and I was bullied a lot at the elementary school and middle school I went to. I went to a different high school for just not being good in sports. And then in high school, I started swimming, and I was kind of good at that. And I later found out that if your eyes are both equally bad and you wear corrective vision glasses, you're fine. But if your eyes are different, you will have terrible hand-eye coordination. I actually started wearing glasses when I was 3 years old, and so yeah, I was talking to a guy on the plane. He came up. His son just had the same thing, one eye being weak and having also lazy eye, a wandering eye. And his son had gotten glasses at 3 years old. And he said, well, the doctor said he'll never play any sports with balls. And I said, well, trust me, he will not be able to catch a ball. And I also noticed in driving, my depth perception, I have to be careful, even when I wear glasses. So, and what I found was when I started fencing is because the weapon is attached to me, I know where it is and where it's going. So it was a sport I always felt very comfortable with. And it does have kind of a snob appeal, which I think when I was young I really liked. The irony is that fencing is not an expensive sport at all, but it has that reputation. I mean, it's not like polo or anything involving horses, which is constant expense. I mean, if you wanted to say, for example, you're a child to do fencing in London, or you wanted to take up fencing, it's also a sport you can do any point in your life.
Wow.
You could join a club. I think they're anywhere from 45 pounds to 60 pounds a month. They're in London. There are several. And you wouldn't need any equipment at first. When you wanted your full kit of equipment, you're looking at maybe 300 to 400 pounds, maybe even less. And that will last you for years.
Wow.
that will last you. So, and as someone said, for a school, having fencing for their students is cheaper than anything that involves a field. Say, for example, just football,
Uh-huh.
because the field you're always maintaining. It's like constant source of money. But there just aren't enough coaches, and it still has that reputation of being kind of an elitist sport. And there are people in the United States and the UK trying to rid it of that reputation. But I think also, in a sense, it is kind of labor intensive, and that it's not team. So that always is, kids, a lot of people, they want the camaraderie of playing a team sport. So fencing's not for everyone, but when I lived in Oregon, I used to fence with a lady who did not start fencing until she retired. And she was participating in the senior national championships. So it is a sport you can take up at any point in your life.
Amazing. Okay. Next question is, what gives you butterflies?
Oh, that's interesting. See, this is that morose side of me. I'd say almost nothing. I don't get excited.
That's all.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I can appreciate the sublime and beautiful, but I have seen a lot of it, and so maybe, of course, still sex because I love that. But I mean, like I went to them, yeah, I don't think, I think at one time when I was younger, before I traveled so much, I think seeing certain places or things, especially if I had studied them and had always dreamt of seeing them, I finally did. But maybe in that sense, like I said, I'm a bit jaded. Yeah.
As you travel so much and you've been in so different places in the world, tell me a situation like that happened to you that, through your travels that go like, wow, that's something maybe that I never expected or I never thought exist, or something that those travels that, around the world that's, give to you as a gift, and it's like, okay, I've learned that. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, that could be both positive and negative. I think,
Yeah, anything.
I think, I come from America, and there's a lot about the country I don't like. And I think America, unfortunately, does should do. It claims to be a force of good in the world, but it often is not. Right now, America is funding the genocide in Gaza. With no real justification for. And Henry Kissinger died. And, this is he was a mass murderer in Southeast Asia, directing the bombings of Cambodia being the world's most bombed country, not by the evil Soviet Union, not by communist China, by the United States of America. So I think that is a reality. Yet that being said, having seen the poverty and such in so many places in the world, and I think a lot of Americans, when they see people dying trying to get to that country, or Europeans who see people dying trying to get to this continent, should not be resentful and heartless, but should be grateful that they were born here. The day you were born in a rich country, even if you were poor, you kind of won the lottery. Because, why is someone born in Somalia or Afghanistan? It's just a chance. I mean, two people met, you hope they were in love, but that's all it is, and you came out. So also being proud that you're an American, or being proud that you're whatever, is bullshit. You just be grateful. There's nothing to be proud of. You're proud of what you achieve and what you do. You're not proud of whose vagina you come out of. That is really just a chance. And hopefully the person you came out of loved you. That's really all, and be grateful for that. So I think that is kind of the big lesson I've learned just in seeing poverty. But I think the good lesson I've learned is how open I am. And really in Africa and India and some other places, strangers will still talk to you and approach you. And some of them, may want to scam you. They're usually quite lame scams. They're not very good at it. I mean, they're not as, it's on the level of kind of the, internet scams that you sometimes get. But a lot of people do just still want to talk to you because you're obviously a foreigner. And I think traveling reminds me of just like be open and friendly. It is okay to talk to strangers. And the best example I had of that was this crazy incident. I was trying to get from Nantes on the um, north eastern part of France, but below Brittany, on the Bay of Biscay. I was trying to get from there to Mont Saint Michel. And in that area of France, the train network is not good. So I was recommended to do covoiturage, which is carpooling, which is really popular in France. There's an app for it called Blah Blah Car. And say where you want to go, and I don't know why this doesn't exist everywhere else. It doesn't exist in Switzerland. So you go on the app and you find somebody doing that drive, and they ask how much they want for gas money or petrol money, and you agree and you pay them, and you meet a spot and you drive with a stranger, and you help pay for the trip, and you help pay for the petrol, and you get a rating, and you rate the drivers like Uber or anything else. But this is it's just person to person. It's not the person giving you a ride is not working for a company. So I got on a covoiturage, and I thought I was getting pretty close to where I was going. And I had not slept well the night before at all, and I was really tired. And the car was full, and there was this young woman there who must have been 18 or 19. I remember her name, Marianne. And she was just talking nonstop to the drivers and trying to talk to me. And I was thinking, she needs to shut up. I'm so tired. I just want to sleep. And I sleep really well in cars. And so we get to where we're stopping, and her mother's picking her up. And I had barely talked to this young lady because I was trying to sleep. And so I have a backpack on like a backpacker, and I'm going to wait for a train to get closer to Mont Saint Michel. And all of a sudden, a minivan pulls up with Marianne and her mother, and they said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I'm waiting for the train. I'm going to Mont Saint Michel." And they said, "The train takes a long time, and you'll be." And I said, "Yeah, I'm just going to go have lunch somewhere." And they said, "No, come have lunch at our house."
Oh
So
my God, that's so nice.
just get into this minivan with this lady and her daughter. Like I said, I've been kind of ignoring, and then we go to their house. It's this huge, like modernist, like all glass up on a hill. On a clear day, you can actually see Mont Saint Michel. And
Wow.
their father's outside washing something in his underwear, his pair of white briefs, Y fronts. And he's like this very typical French guy. And it turns out he owns a company that makes underwear for the French military. So like he was modeling his own underwear. And they loved America, and they were planning this big vacation to California they were going on. They asked me all these questions, and they fed me lunch, and I met Marianne's little brother who was just 11, and they had like two classic American cars, and they were just so sweet and friendly. And then the mother said, "Marianne, you're just gonna have to take Ben to Mont Saint Michel. The bus and
Oh,
train takes too long." She's like, "Take my car, a little French convertible Peugeot."
wow.
And I thought, I could have been, like I said, I try to always be open to strangers. And, I do get into cars with strangers and talk to strangers. But I thought, in America, would, some rich people like take home the sort of an a French backpacker? And it seems very unlikely, maybe in the countryside. And again, something like this is very unlikely in a place like Paris. But I thought it was just so sweet and friendly. And that said, I think, always be open to the kindness of strangers.
I
That's the
love it.
good thing I've learned about travel. Yes, the random Indian teenager talking to you and asking you questions may try to sell you something, but he just may want to talk to you and be your friend, and why not?
I love the story. My goodness, I love the fact that Marianne was annoying you in the beginning, and suddenly
Because I went to
everything.
sleep. She wasn't annoying. I just wanted to. It was me who was being the cranky, tired guy and not being friendly, and that's it. I wasn't friendly, and she was still friendly to me.
I love it. I just love the story. Wow, wow. Mont Saint Michel, what a beautiful place. Actually, I've been there
I
2 years
spent the night there, which
ago.
I highly recommend. It's
Love it.
deserted at night.
2 questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, as you lived in the UK for a few years, yeah, on and off, I'd like you to answer the next question with your best British accent, okay? I'm joking, I'm joking. You don't need to. If you
Okay.
don't want to. Can you?
After I
Let,
lived there for a year when I was 18, when I went back to America, people thought I was British. So I did pick up a British accent. And I've known that to happen to American teenagers. And of course, everyone always accuses them. Like I know a girl who did a year abroad in Australia and came back with an Australian accent. Everyone makes fun of them and thinks, oh, you want to pretend. And it's like, no, I wasn't. It wore off in about 3 or 4 months. And it has not happened as an adult. I think your accent gets less flexible the older you get. But
okay, okay. Next question is, what is the most difficult thing have you ever done?
I mean, because I think when I've done some things that were difficult emotionally, like ending in a relationship or something, in the end they were the right decisions. So if the difficulty is reaching the conclude is carrying through what one already knows to do, that's not difficult in the same way. In terms of like physically pushing myself, um, I was swimming in the Great Lakes and I was crossing a river and this was actually not that long ago. So I lived in central New York State still. And I had gone to the lake with this student from Cornell who was also a nudist, and we were looking for an unofficial nude beach. And we thought we were getting to it. And it was an inlet going into Lake Ontario, and I was swimming across it. And I started getting carried out into the lake. And I was even more physically fit then, but I was a lot bigger and a lot more muscle. So I don't think I had the great endurance. And he was young and more of a runner and just swam straight across. And I have never come so close to drowning and death in my life. And I've never felt so exhausted. And at a certain point, I didn't care. I was ready to give up. And he was looking at the shore, not understanding what was happening, but I could tell he was kind of like concerned. And I thought, if this kid who's 20 years old has to go through the trauma of watching me die, it will haunt him for the rest of his life. And that's not fair to him. I said I could swim across, and somehow that got me through not wanting, because the time I was single, I was really unhappy in my job. Again, I was in one of those very morose modes, being very pessimistic. And I was like, nobody's going to care and notice if I die. But I thought right now in this moment, this poor, and again, I say kid, he was a young adult, it'll be traumatic for him. And that's like really unfair. So I somehow pushed myself, but I literally, when I got on the shore, I was hyperventilating. And he got someone in a kayak to take me back across. And I think it took almost 2 days of recovery. I had
Wow,
like dizzy spells when I would stand up. It was quite difficult and traumatic.
wow, my goodness. It happened not long ago, you said. It's been,
Well, yeah, it's probably now 6 or 7 years ago.
wow, what a moment, my goodness. Wow. Ready for the last question?
Yes.
Last question, Ben, let's do it. Last question for you is, what does happiness mean to you?
What?
What does happiness mean to you?
Oh, happiness. So I have two answers for this. One is the sort of Nicomachean Ethics answer of Aristotle, that happiness is a state of mind and I would say, really more of a worldview, that the essence of happiness is something in your mind, that regardless of the accidents of happiness, health, wealth, those things, you still have that in your state of mind, that you, and of course that's theoretical and very hard. I think otherwise happiness is to have relationships in your life that give your life meaning and give meaning to people's lives. And this is not just a romantic partner. It can even be, say, things at work. If you're a teacher, the relationship you have with your students, the relationships you can have with the planet as something like a gardener or a farmer, or with animals. And I think most people, unfortunately, don't have that. A lot of people, they get married and have children even just because they think they're supposed to, and it's really not giving their lives meaning, and they're not giving meaning to other people's lives. And I think that's the root of a lot of suffering.
All right. It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
Okay, one word for money.
Coin.
Family.
Children.
Love.
Love.
Yeah.
Sex.
Okay. Fear.
Darkness.
One word for sex.
Come.
Did I say family? No.
Yes.
I did. You see, I got confused now. I talk about love, sex. I got a bit into another word.
By the way, this is free association. I'm not afraid of the dark at all. So, and obviously love can involve not having sex because you love people you don't have sex with. And I actually do believe loving everyone. But you're asking me the first word that pops into my mind. I myself was surprised I thought of darkness because I'm not afraid of the dark at all. In fact, I like the dark. I am afraid of extreme heights. So, but that's not what I thought of. So, I mean, if you're a psychologist, maybe you can read something into my free associations, but I would just say they don't necessarily make any sense to me. I'm just trying to go with the exercise.
Whatever comes to your mind, genuinely. Religion.
The cross.
Politics.
Donald Trump. Which may give you my view. I loathe Donald Trump, but it's like that's what I think politics is now in America. It revolves around Donald Trump, what he's saying and doing.
I'm going to tell you something I'm not going to believe. For some reason, I knew you'd say that. I don't know why. When I said politics, I was already... For some
Americans are cursed with that.
Wow, that's interesting. I don't know. Desire.
Love.
Regrets.
Regrets? Childhood.
Success.
Love.
Wish.
Wish?
Yeah.
Peace.
Happiness.
Also peace.
One word for Louisiana.
Food.
One word for USA.
Crazy.
One word for Switzerland.
Calm.
One word for London.
Intense.
One word for Donald Trump.
Failure as a human being.
I was expecting that.
I mean, also I would say miserable because he seems miserable and he's inflicting on other people. Like, just go be miserable by yourself somewhere with your money or your lack of money, which may really be the case. It's all fake. Fake is another word.
Oh dear. And the last one now, gardener. One word.
I was going to say dirt or soil, but there's so many aspects of or nature. There's so many aspects of gardening. Like you can be inside planting, and but when I think of the gardening, I always think of being in it and doing something in the soil and digging and planting or weeding.
Get dirty and
getting dirty.
Right, let's pretend I'm going to meet your lovely fiancé for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, what is the most beautiful thing about Ben, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on, what he would say?
Oh, wow. What would he say is the most beautiful thing about me? Well, I know that I make him happy. So, that.
And something that you need to improve on still?
He says I'm very messy, but I would say he's a neat freak.
Let's play now Ben and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let me see you dancing, the last music, let's see. Great, great. Hey, you can ask me a question now.
Well, what got you started doing this?
Wow. Right. Remember the beginning?
Why did you pick me too? That sounds a bit solipsistic, but
Okay. Do you remember the beginning of the interview when I asked you about your travel and you said, okay, do you have time to go through each bit?
right.
And the same answer now for you. Do you have time to go through like another 2 hours? I'm joking. Anyway, 2020 did something happen, like something happened in the world, like very, strange, that, something called COVID, and people, they were,
Right.
didn't know what was happening, was a bit, that not knowing was a bit scary. Anyway, I went for a run in the park in 2020, March. Here in London, we could leave the house once a day for
Right.
exercise. And I was going for a run in the park in the afternoon. And one of those runs, this idea came along. And I remember the moment and the place where I was running. And I was like, I even had I stopped for a moment. Oh my God, it was so like powerful. I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create questions. I'm going to research some questions. I'm going to just, organize everything. And I'm going to invite people, random people around the world, and see what their point of views are, what they think about those questions. And trust me, I didn't think that I would go the direction it's going right now. For me, when I thought about the channel, was about just having fun, have a laugh. People was just like, but the way people open up about themselves, the way people talk about things, that it's beautiful, because I was expecting that, and people feel so comfortable here on the show. Back to your question, the idea came along out of nowhere, but saying that, Ben, when I look back, even when I was a teenager back in Brazil, I was already doing that. I was literally, I remember like going out with friends and I was asking those questions like, oh, who was your favorite teacher growing up? Tell me about your childhood memories, what sticks out, and all those questions. And even here in London as well, I remember going on vacation or with friends, there always a moment I was connecting, say, okay, let's do some questions. And that's it. So that's how the idea came along. So I think it's about expressing myself. It's something that was here that I didn't know where was it, and now I'm doing the same game with people around the world. And trust me, it's the best gift someone can have. You have no idea how fascinating it is to talk to people. For example, talking to you now, I feel like I've known you for some time. It's great to see so many people, over 1,000 people already being on the show, and it's crazy when I think about it, like, wow. So yeah, that's my question. That's my answer to you. It's just about you know expressing the way I am and connect with people and let people express themselves as well. That's the whole idea of the show.
Okay. And what made you pick me?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't get this one because I knew you'd come to the interview naked. I'm joking. Joking. No, I'm joking. When literally when I saw your profile, actually, when I remember like when I saw your profile for the first time, I remember was this week. I just felt like literally invite you, as I invite everyone, random people. If they say yes, good. If they say no, good as well. Just didn't meant to be, and didn't mean to be. So I think that when you reply back, you've been very sweet and very kind, and we just literally made memories right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great, and I'm thankful for you to take your time, because I know how people are busy nowadays, and when they take their time for me or for the channel, for the show, it's a gift, because I know how busy we can be. So yeah, that's the reason. Literally, I somehow your profile showed on my phone. I said, okay, let's invite him. Let's see. And when I look back, when I scroll up a little bit on your pictures, I could see that you've been traveling and everything. I said, okay, hopefully he gonna say yes, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about his life. And here we are. So yeah,
Be nice to meet you in person in
yes,
London.
please, absolutely. When you
Yeah.
come to next time you come to London, let me know. We can go for a coffee or something. Absolutely, it'll be nice to
Yeah.
talk more with you. Okay.
Likewise.
Did you enjoy the interview?
Yeah, you do have a gift for making people feel very comfortable. It's the smile. You have a beautiful smile and a soothing voice, and yeah, that is an ability to to make people feel comfortable and open up is really why certain people have had it, like the most famous being probably Oprah or Barbara Walters. Why they were great interviewers. was their ability to get people to relax and talk. I mean, there's different styles of interviewing. You think hard talk is about confrontation, about people in power and putting them on the spot. And of course, you see them become evasive or lie. But you think about what people, like I said, if you think of those who were famous for getting people to relax and open up, and groundbreaking research in that, Kinsey, in the Kinsey report in the history of sexuality, the reason why his research was so groundbreaking was he got people to feel relaxed and be honest. So before Kinsey in the 1950s, for example, it was believed, and people are going to think I'm a total pervert being naked and bringing up sex constantly, but it was believed that masturbation was something that only mental patients did because the only time people saw they're doing that. So, you need to stop your child from masturbating, and masturbation is bad because the crazies and the funny in the mental hospital are all masturbating. But, Kinsey just got people to all say they had done it. And it was like, this is normal human behavior. Everyone's doing it. Why do we fear talking about it? And, and the Kinsey Institute to this day is based on making the method of research of asking real people real questions and making them feel comfortable. So you don't need to go into becoming a sex researcher, ask people their fantasies, but also Freud was able to get his patients to be comfortable and open up. And so that is a real gift. And, you're using it to get to know people and, and share that, but obviously people like Oprah and Barbara Walters made careers out of it. People like Freud and Kinsey had that gift and did groundbreaking research with it. So no pressure that you have to do any of those things, but
I'm just thinking right now, oh my God, where I'm going? What's the next step right now?
but I'm saying it is quite a gift. It's had an impact on the ability to do that.
Thanks so much, Ben. Oh my God, get this compliment from someone like you. Oh my goodness, it just made my day right now. I think I'm just here expressing myself and I'm just connecting with people. I think when you are yourself, people, they just feel it. Even they don't know you, they can, they can connect somehow. Thank you so much. Regards to your fiancé, to your family, your friends, and you keep in touch. And I see you in London sometime soon, okay? It was a pleasure.
I'd love to see you in person.
Take care. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.